Yo, what is up YouTube? It is GB Smokescreen here. We are back for a brand new video. Now, this is going to be another Could This Be Meta? Now, this is going to be, excuse me, this is going to be a little bit of a different video, because in the last one where I did the Could This Be Meta for Allied Justice, I pretty much just did a complete just slideshow and didn't really do any talking. It's more like reading and everything, and honestly I don't think that was really a good way to present it and everything. So anyway, this time I'm going to be actually doing pretty much the same thing and everything, except no reading or anything. Just I'm going to be talking the entire time, trying to give you guys the explanations of what I think these that the decks could be very good with, and my opinions on the deck. Anyway, if you guys do like this video, then hit the like button and also subscribe as well. And let's get right on into it. Now, for those of you who don't know what the Could This Be Meta is, Could This Be Meta is pretty much where you take a deck that's a little bit old or recent or something that, or they're just out of date, and you basically make 5 fantasy support cards for them. And at the end of the day, could you say, would this deck be meta? Would it be garbage, alright? And if it is meta, what tier would it be? That's basically how it's going to work. Anyway, so in this video, I am going to be talking about Shaddolls. I'm going to be talking about Shaddolls for this video. Now, Shaddolls are actually a very, very good deck. Well, they were a very good deck back in their prime time when they had access into Construct. Now, Construct was actually a pretty broken card. It was a Foolish Burial. It could instantly destroy special summon monsters, and it can recycle Shaddoll Fusion from your graveyard when it dies. So you can just keep bringing it back over and over and over again. It was just a really, really insane card, and everything. But now in today's game, I don't see Construct as much of a threat. So honestly, I kind of do see it coming back to 1 nowadays for the January 2018 ban list that we are hopefully to see sometime this month. But this card, I don't really see it much of a threat because of these these quite a few cards, bouncing shit back. Like, we got Security Dragons, we got freaking Akashic Magicians, we got Firewall Dragons, we got a whole bunch of shit to return shit to the hand. So I don't see Construct being much of a threat anymore, so I kind of do see it coming back to 1. But not only that, did Construct get banned and everything, they lost the El Shaddoll Fusion as well at that time, and we put it to 1. So it died down. But now we have the new Link monster for the Shaddoll monsters called Shaddoll Construct. This card pretty much is a monster Shaddoll Fusion, as well as being able to recover itself from the graveyard by taking a Shaddoll card. So that's actually really, really good. So Shaddolls maybe do see a bit more life back into the deck due to this card, but I don't think it's really enough. So in this I'm going to be making 4 fantasy support cards for them. Now, normally I did say 5 at the beginning, but because Shaddolls already just got the new Shaddoll Construct that we are seeing of getting in the next pack, but because they got this new card and everything, I honestly don't, I'm going to count this as one of the cards, even though it's a real one. But so yeah, I made 4 fantasy support cards for them, and hopefully, and you guys tell me in the comments below if these could really help them. Alright, so getting into the first card, we have Shaddoll Krebons. Now, Shaddoll Krebons is a level 2 dark spellcaster flip monster. It's a tuner as well. It has 1200 attack, 400 defense. Its flip effect: you target 1 Shaddoll monster in your graveyard except Krebons, and then add it to your hand. So it gives a little bit of recycling. And then if this card is sent to the graveyard by a card effect, target 3 Shaddoll monsters in your graveyard except Shaddoll Krebons. Return those targets to the deck and draw 1 card. You can only use 1 effect of Shaddoll Krebons once per turn and only once per turn. So basically, this card is a recycling card. It gives them a lot of recycling. Has a Diagusto Emerald effect. It's a Diagusto Emerald effect and everything. So this card does give a lot of recycling and a consistency to the deck with the draw one card. Now, the reason I made this card now because even though Shaddolls is a pretty good deck, they have one flaw to them is that they have no monster recycling aside from Falco. Aside from Falco, they have no way to recover their monsters. So with this card, it's very handy to help them, get that bit of recycling that they need and everything. That's pretty much what most of these spell and trap cards, basically what these Shaddoll support cards are mainly for. It's mainly for recycling and everything because that is basically what they lack in. So that is my reasoning for the Shaddoll Krebons. Anyway, the next card, I made a new fusion monster for them. I wanted to make a new fusion monster for them because some of their fusions I don't really like. I do like the Earth one. I do like Winda. I do like, what's that one? I think the water one. Whatever the water one was. I do like those ones. But this card, I feel like, could replace that water one. Okay. Anyway, so the new fusion one is called El Shaddoll Trishadoros. It is a level 9 water dragon fusion monster, 2700 attack and 2000 defense. And it takes a Shaddoll monster and a water monster. So I basically make their pretty much a Trish. Another version of Trish. Its effect is must first be fusion summoned. If your opponent special summons a monster or monsters, banish those monsters face down. You can only use this effect of El Shaddoll Trishadoros once per turn. Monsters banished by this card's effect are returned to the owner's field in the same position at the end phase. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can target one Shaddoll spell or trap card in your grave and add to your hand. So basically, I gave it that one, that last effect because all the Shaddoll fusions share that. But basically, this is a card that pretty much cuts off a special summon from your opponent or multiple special summons. So this cuts off a pendulum summon completely. This cuts off your opponent's one pendulum summon that they can pull off. Now they do come back to the field at the end phase, and your opponent can choose where they go. But at the same time, this cuts off if your opponent is a pendulum player and they use their pendulum summon, and then this guy triggers. It pretty much just cuts off their play during that turn. So it just cuts off their turn. So they have pretty much the force end their turn. This may be a bit broken now that I'm talking about it. But I don't know, because they do go back at the end phase. I do think it's a little bit balanced, a little bit, maybe not much. But I still think it's a pretty good card. But yeah. But the thing is, you guys are probably wondering that it may not be as broken because it's a water. It needs a water monster to make it. Shaddoll decks don't normally play water monsters. That is true. The reason I made this card is to promote these two Shaddoll cards that I do believe people are sleeping on, and that is Nept Shaddoll Fusion and Shaddoll Core. These two cards are actually really, really good, and I don't understand why people are sleeping on them, because basically Nept Shaddoll Fusion is an equipped spell card that can equip to a Shaddoll monster, and then it changes that monster's attribute. And then it's also a Shaddoll Fusion. It has a Shaddoll Fusion effect. And Shaddoll Core basically does the same thing. It pretty much can summon itself as a monster, and then and if you use it to fusion summon it can be used for any attribute that you want. So that's actually really good. And plus, it has a recycling effect for your Shaddoll spell and traps when it goes to grave. Now that's actually really good. Now another thing that why I made this thing water is because one thing that people do with Shaddolls is that they actually tech it in spellbooks, and then they have that one card, Spellbook Magician of Prophecy, which is a water, and it's also their Stratos. So you can get, but it's just a 500 beat stick. So what you can do, you just normal summon that, get your free search, and then you can use your Shaddoll Fusion, and then go right into a Trishadoros. So that's actually really, really good. And honestly, I feel like that could actually promote Shaddolls with spellbooks as well, but also promoting the Nep Shaddoll Fusion and the Shaddoll Core as well. Alright, so anyway, getting into the third card. This is a quick play spell card called Shaddoll Strings. This card is a quick play spell card. Its effect is return one El Shaddoll Fusion monster you control to the extra deck, then target 2 Shaddoll monsters in your grave, and then special summon those targets face down defense. You cannot special summon any monsters for the rest of the turn except Shaddoll monsters. You can only activate one Shaddoll Strings once per turn. So basically, this card is basically their own D-Fusion. Now, I made this card because, one, again, monster recovery, because they don't have any recovery outside of Falco. But this card basically helps them with recovery and everything. And at the same time, it puts them, when you bring them back, it puts them into a position where they do fit. Because you don't want to, because like if you bring them back in like attack mode or just in face-up defense, then it's not real, then it's like really whatever. Alright, sure, it can like push for game a little bit, but at least it brings them back to help them with their strategy and help get their flip effects off. So, because really all they have is, for recovery, is Shaddoll Falco to bring him back to the grave in defense. Alright, but Shaddoll Falco, if you send him to the grave, if he goes to grave by a card effect, he comes back, he can bring himself back, but his full effect can't be used. So your opponent can just run over and just kill it. So, that's like, I don't know, that's a little bit of a problem and everything. It doesn't really help. Falco's flip effect honestly gets used the least out of, well, like between these two effects, it's used the least just because of that one problem they have. So I feel like Shaddoll Strings can help with that problem. Just bring your monsters back to the field and face down defense, and then you can get your flip effect. You can bring up your beasts, go for 2 draws and discards. You can bring back your Shaddoll Dragons, go for a free, like a Compulse or something. Go for a free Compulse. Then you got Squamata that can just pop a monster. You got Hedgehog that can get you a Search. So there's a lot of different things that this card can help you bring back and help you do. And also, unless I worded it wrong, but you could probably bring, unless I worded it wrong, but this is what my intention was, to bring back the Shaddoll Fusions as well. Because this card can bring back the fusion monsters and everything, because they have the effect where they must first be fusion summoned. So once you fusion summon them properly, they can you can bring them back from the grave as you please. Anyway, that's Shaddoll Strings. Anyway, the next card is a normal trap card called Strings Reattach. And its effect is target 1 El Shaddoll Fusion monster from your graveyard and send the required fusion material monsters from your deck to the grave. And if you do, special summon that target. This card is treated as a Shaddoll Fusion. If an El Shaddoll monster would be destroyed while this card is in your graveyard, banish this card instead. Now, this card basically helps recover the El Shaddoll Fusion monsters, and then it sends materials from the deck. That's a little bit crazy, I will admit that. But honestly, I really do think that Shaddolls kind of need quite a bit of a boost in order to be a bit viable now. Now, that last effect, the Destruction Prevention effect, the reason for that effect's creation is because of El Shaddoll Winda. Now, this card basically has protection against card effects, but because of the 2200 beater, it's honestly not insanely hard to get over it. It's not insanely hard. So I put the battle that if it would be destroyed, banish it set, so it gives Winda a little bit more protection and everything. So I'm basically kind of making Shaddolls a little bit of an anti-meta deck, I guess you could say. Because being Trisha Doris being able to cut your opponent's pendulum summon completely, and this card being able to protect Winda. Any Shaddoll Fusion monster anyway, but mainly I made it for Winda, but it can be used for any of them. So that's basically what I made. So that's basically the 4 cards that I made for the Shaddoll archetype. I do think that these 4 cards on top of Shaddoll Construct can be very, very helpful for them. So I don't know. I will admit, maybe the most broken ones out of all of them, probably Trishadoras and Strings Reattach. I will admit that. But honestly, I do think that the deck would be very, very good, very spectacular with these cards. I don't know. You kind of have to see it in action in order to see what it would actually do. But anyway, that's my opinions on the deck and everything. If you guys enjoyed, make sure to leave it. Make sure to give it a like, and also tell me in the comments down below what you think of these cards, and do you think they would be meta or would they be garbage? Honestly, I feel like they'd probably be tier 1 again. They actually might. They could be tier 1 again with these supports and everything, because like that's really all they needed. They really needed just recovery. That's all they needed. They just needed recovery, and then that's it. But because they didn't have that, I made them for them. They have recovery now. Well, not now, but like if they had these, they would have. But anyway, that's what I have for them. All right, make sure to give it a like and also subscribe, and I will talk to you guys all later. Goodbye.